and rivers. So we can use it, not only depend on road. Transportation means also diversification of the modes. It's multimodal. Multimodalism is a modern concept. We can transport a lot of cargo, and this has been done now. Many people are using the inland waterways for transportation. And I think if we dredge periodically, maintenance dredging, we could make, the inland waterways very, very important mode of transportation.
You've talked about removal of trade barriers consistently now. What exactly and what are the specifics you have in mind?
It's just re-echoing the ECOWAS, treaties and conventions. There are physical and financial barriers to trade. And trade should flow because trade is what makes, the economy. And once you control, the trade, you will look at your comparative advantage, and, maximize what comes to your country. Unfortunately, in Africa, there are barriers, so many checkpoints as a physical ones, so many processes, before you export. The level of trade, intra-African trade, is abysmally low.
Would that not lead to a drop in revenue?
No, not. It's the throughput, the level of trade. Not really. Actually, revenue will go up once you have, containers across these African countries. You can imagine if Ethiopia wants Nigerian yams, it has to be taken to, Europe and then transshipped to Ethiopia. So that is, almost ridiculous. And I think the trade between African countries is long overdue for encouragement.
Now, let's look at the factors you consider in creating a price mechanism for fixing of tariff.
Yes, there are a lot of issues to look at. The CPI, for example, some benchmarking. But overall, prices are not fixed. Charges are not fixed. They have to change based on, conditions. And I think it is a scientific way of, bringing the charges. A regulator is interested in the caps, the upper, lower caps, and in comparison to your competitor. So, which is very important. So that when they say Nigerian ports are expensive, we don't want them to be, expensive. The cost of doing business in Nigeria, and we also are interested in our investors making profit. So the price fixing mechanism or tariff setting is arrived after negotiation with the users and providers of services.
How far have you gone in stopping arbitrary charges of tariff from terminal operators? Because that is what the ship owners are complaining of.
Yes,
now.
there are a lot of, there are contentious issues. Tariff is always sensitive, but we have said negotiate because that's what the law says. So we have to use the instrument of law to see that prices or tariffs or levies are not fixed arbitrarily. And that's not only for providers, but also for government or government agencies. If one wants to, have a change in tariff, you should come and discuss and negotiate, with the users. And of course, the regulators, Shippers Council is a referee to find, reasonable, charges.
The role of the Nigeria Shippers Council is being threatened by litigation from the terminal operators. How have you been able to find a way around it?
We have been in, as you said, it's the matter is sub judice. Actually, that's why I don't want to talk about it in details. But the most important thing is having, recognition. The most important thing is to make the charges, affordable and reasonable. The whole kernel, of port reforms is to reduce charges. And of course, as I said, there must be some consensus, some equilibrium. It cannot be arbitrarily done. One cannot unilaterally, fix charges. It has to be negotiated. So I think we're anxious for us to, have one way or the other determination, in this matter so that we can move forward.
Many businessmen have complained about the high cost of doing business in Nigeria and thereby having to divert their cargoes to other neighboring countries. So how do you react to this?
Well, our ports are really attractive, if I may put it that way. There may be some reasons why people divert, their cargo to our competitors. It's not strictly because of, tariff. It could be.
What reasons do you think
There could be informal way of doing things. Most of the cargo destined, in other ports are destined, for Nigeria, 70%. And Nigerian terminals and ports have shown efficiency, especially recently. The terminal operators have invested in equipment and machinery. The Nigerian Ports Authority is up to its responsibilities. So when you see such diversification, if you like, for cargo, to other countries, maybe for other reasons. Here in Nigeria, for example, you cannot have substandard goods coming here. And most of the things, diverted to other, ports or terminals, are not allowed, in Nigeria. Besides, we can see, that just before the recession, Nigerian terminals were handling more cargo than they have ever done, which is a sign of increased efficiency.
Now let's look at some of this reason for port congestion now.
It is, the problem of shippers sometimes who would like to make the port as a storage facility. But a port is not a storage facility. So you see people abandoning their cargo, actually. They are safer or cheaper to put them on the port rather than to go and rent warehouses. But cargo should not spend a day more than necessary at the port. And of course, you are occupying space, so the owners of those terminals must rent. You are renting the place. Actually, Nigerian Shippers Council introduced what is called progressive storage charges to deter shippers who use the port as storage. If, for example, you have your cargo coming, you should take necessary steps to